Zip, zip, zip. Hello, my beautiful friends. I am here with some Nintendo-related news. You are here wanting to hear Nintendo-related news, so why don't I tell you the Nintendo-related news that I have here? Everybody wins. And you know what? This is a good week. I got a lot of good stories here. First up, we've got ourselves a genuine, old-fashioned Nintendo Direct rumor. When I started doing these roundups, I thought I would be doing more rumors, but it's mostly just been news. But here we go. We got one here. According to the internet, specifically a party known only as Kilios, we will be getting a full Nintendo Direct on July 20th. Normally I scoff at rumors like these, but this person has been correct in the past. This is the guy who correctly predicted, or, called the mini direct that happened in March. They had it down to the day, which of course could have been a coincidence. However, as I've said recently, I've been more and more willing to believe rumors, and I hate that. I hate that so much, but they keep ending up true. I mean, I'm certainly skeptical of the idea. It seemed like Nintendo was having such a hard time doing anything right now during this whole situation. How many times do I have to say that? This whole situation, that they were making it sound like we wouldn't be getting a direct anytime soon, you know what I mean? And like in June, there were all these reports coming in saying it's not getting delayed, there just isn't gonna be one. So it's weird that now we're getting rumors that there's gonna be one in July. That's only a month delay from June. I've been expecting to get more random Twitter announcements, but I suppose it has been a while since the Origami King announcement, and they've gotta have a lot of stuff for us. They've got to still have a lot of stuff for the rest of this year, and maybe even some for next year, so it does make sense that they should be doing a direct. I don't know, it just seemed like they were having a hard time doing it. I like to think that they were like, oh no, what are we gonna do? We can't get to the office, we can't do a direct. And then just like a week ago, someone was like, wait, I just realized people can edit videos remotely. What do you mean? Well, I mean, like, you could just take the trailers on your computer and put them together and put some graphics and record some voiceover and you'd have it. Really? People can do that with computers? Oh my gosh, let's have a direct. Get this going. July 20th, let's move it out, people. Will this end up being true? I do not know, but I most certainly hope that it is because, the Twitter thing is fun, but we really could use a direct right now. We really could. So next up, I am recording this on Friday the 10th, and Nintendo just had a Treehouse presentation for Paper Mario Origami King. They had a little presentation of like the early areas of the game, and then they also used this opportunity to announce a new Bakugan game from Way Forward, exclusively for the Switch. I will not comment too much on the actual content of these two things. I have many opinions, particularly about Paper Mario, but that's gonna have to come later. But what makes this interesting news to me is that, obviously around E3, they usually have their Treehouse stream going for a few days, talking about the games at E3. But this kind of sets a precedent. I mean, they, obviously because they had to, the people running the stream recorded it from their own homes, and it led to some issues, but I think overall the idea of doing a Treehouse presentation for a game separately from E3, separately from an event, I think it's an interesting idea. And then the fact that they even put a little announcement in there, they put the Way Forward announcement. What if they keep doing that moving forward? Like, why does Treehouse Live have to be an E3 thing? If there have been times when they've done Treehouse things separately from E3, if it's happened, it certainly hasn't happened much, because I can't remember if it has. But I actually think it's a really cool idea. Instead of making us wait for just trailers and stuff, any old game coming out at any old part of the year, whether it's, in person or people's own houses or whatever, I just think it's a cool idea. It's just a little presentation, and especially if they're gonna staple other announcements onto it, it's just interesting, and I kind of hope to see it more moving forward. I will say though, Nintendo needs to have a stern talk with their social media person, because my gosh, they love to get people's hopes up with the tweets and then just dash them. Everyone was going crazy trying to imagine what this Way Forward thing could be, and then it was Bakugan, and I guess some people were not super pleased with that news, but hey, it is what it is. Here's an interesting one. So in yet another in an endless line of shareholder meetings, one shareholder basically asked, what's the future look like? Like, what do things look like for your next hardware? They said game hardware has always displayed an image on a TV or other kind of screen while you do something, and I think that's where the limits for this format are. Would the hardware you're thinking about go beyond those limits? This is a very Nintendo question. Nintendo is always trying to push the boundaries and change how people play games, and yet they received a very non-Nintendo answer, and I love this. I'm not going to read the full quotes by Shuntaro Furukawa and Ko Shiota, but the gist of what they said was, we've got something really great going here, and we really like it. We're really appreciating just how good this concept is. So moving forward, we're going to be looking at how great, just how great this already is. And this, I think, is terrific. I've been very open about the fact that I think the Switch is pretty much the perfect idea, and I don't want to ever see it go away. As long as people are playing games on screens, I want the Nintendo console to be one console. They even specifically mentioned how putting all of their resources in it, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Putting all of their resources into one system is very efficient, and I happen to agree. And it's great hearing them say the same thing, you know? Like, it sounds like they agree with me and many other people that, like, yeah, this is pretty much perfect. The next one will probably just be the same thing again. Obviously, we can't know for sure. We don't know what other kinds of stuff. This isn't a guarantee of anything. Maybe they're still in the preliminary stages of planning their next system, but it is very nice to see that they are basically on the same page with, hey, the Switch is great. Let's maybe consider not messing that up. You know what I mean? Not breaking what ain't broken, fix it broken. Oh boy. I'm a professional journalist. I promise I will not misspeak for the remainder of this video. You have my word. So at the same shareholder meeting, we got a little more clarity on the Nintendo mobile game situation. Recently, they've been dropping some quotes making it sound like the mobile market isn't doing exactly what they'd hoped that it would do for them, and Bloomberg did this whole report, I talked about it before, about how they're going to be scaling things back, but Furukawa decided to shed a little more light on the situation. Again, I'm not going to read the entire quote, but the gist of it, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It could still technically be possible that they are scaling things back a little, but he wanted to reiterate that it's not going away entirely. Mobile games are still a part of their business. He seemed quite pleased with how many people became interested in Animal Crossing because of Pocket Camp. And it's kind of interesting. He said one really big purpose for all these mobile games is just to get people to make Nintendo accounts. You know, just to sign up for a Nintendo account, which I guess could possibly lead to other things. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty forward-minded strategy there. So yeah, like, they could still be scaling things back. Maybe they're not going to release as many games, just as people have been saying, but it is nice to see a little clarity there. He's saying, like, yeah, but come on, like, I don't think this means the end for our mobile business. It is still a part of our overall strategy. In other news, the clock has finally turned over. It has finally been 9,000 years, so we got our next batch of games on Nintendo Switch Online. This time we got The Immortal on NES, and then on Super NES, Natsume Championship... Uh-oh. I messed up again, oh no! Natsume Championship Wrestling, and most excitingly, in my humble opinion, Donkey Kong Country. Anytime new titles hit the service, I will annoyingly and predictably point out that it is a little upsetting to be drip-fed these games. However, it is very nice to get Donkey Kong. I am really looking forward to playing 2 and 3 because I never played those ones. I only ever played the first one. So again, I will wear my entitlement hat and say, I sure wish these were coming faster. Why don't you give me the games that I want to play, Nintendo? But at the same time, Donkey Kong Country's real good. That's a real good game. I'm looking forward to booting it up again. Especially because now I can use save states and cheat, and you can't stop me. In Animal Crossing news, because there is always Animal Crossing news, apparently there was a glitch that people were... somehow I missed this. There was a glitch that people were using to make the HUD disappear when in camera mode. Frankly, I'm baffled that there isn't already a much better camera mode for Animal Crossing to remove things like that and make it easier for people to take videos and pictures without having all that annoying stuff in the way. You know, like every Sony game ever, just like these awesome camera modes or whatever. Or even like Nintendo's other games, like Super Mario, whatever. So it was nice that the glitch was there. Apparently you just kind of do like a weird button combination to kind of get the HUD to go away. But in the latest patch, they got rid of it. It looks like Nintendo patched it out. I don't know. I mean, it seems like it was something of a glitch, but it does seem a little upsetting, and people naturally are quite upset that Nintendo would patch that out because it is singularly what allowed a lot of people to do a lot of the like funny videos that we've seen. A lot of content creators were making a lot of really funny stuff with Animal Crossing. There was that Parks and Recreation one and all sorts of stuff, and now they can't. So I don't know. I can only hope that at some point Nintendo will patch in a more robust camera mode or something, because yeah, that's pretty darn disappointing. And in similar news, apparently since the latest update, which allows you to now swim in the ocean, okay, well see, a lot of people don't want visiting online people to kind of mess up their town, so what they've done is fence in the little area around the airport. Thing is, now that people can jump in the ocean, they can just kind of bypass any of those fences and just go run amok in your town if they want to, and if you haven't taken other precautions. What they can do is technically limited, though I will say this does seem like a pretty weird oversight. I mean, like, Nintendo is all about protecting people from all those evil folks that you find online, those evil folks that I assume are out there that Nintendo's been trying to protect us from for years. So it's weird that they would just be like, oh yeah, you can just jump in the water, can't you? So a lot of other people are, again, reasonably upset about that, so hopefully Nintendo addresses that as well in a future patch. So this last week, a Spanish podcast called A Coffee with Nintendo ran an interview with the voice actors for Zelda and Rivali. The Spanish-speaking voice actors, Mark Navarro and Nerea Alfonso. It seems a lot of people read translations of this interview and took it to mean that they were already done with their voice acting work on Breath of the Wild 2. This, of course, led many to speculate at what point Zelda might be in the completion process. Does completing all of the dubbing mean that the game is done or almost done or something? Everyone got all excited, but it turns out that this was just a mistranslation. And it turns out that mistranslation came from a joke that they made about how strict Nintendo was about non-disclosure. They said they weren't even allowed to tell people if they were in the game at all. So unfortunately, we did not get to glean any sort of real information about Breath of the Wild 2 and its release date at all. However, it did make for a fun story. So over time, we have seen more and more stories about lesser and lesser quality games hitting the eShop. This, of course, always tends to spawn the whole discussion. Why is Nintendo being so lax about what games they allow on the service? Should they be doing more to prevent these low-quality games from hitting the service? Well, the latest chapter in that saga is a game called Final Sword. In addition to being a pretty darn low-quality looking game with a lot of generic assets, it seems that the game uses the song Zelda's Lullaby from Zelda. Now, when I heard this, I'm like, okay, is it just gonna be like pretty similar? You know, like it's clear they were inspired by it. Maybe the melody's the same. No, it's the same song. It is the exact identical song. They just thought, what would be a good song for my adventure game where you got a sword? How about a song from Zelda? I mean, it makes sense, right? I guess I can't blame them. This is obviously a very large infringement of copyright, and it seems that especially after all of the exposure on social media and outlets and such, the game has finally been removed. And like, it's cool that they did end up removing it. Obviously, people can't just be stealing music and putting it on these low quality games. But it always does make you wonder, like, what could someone get up on that eShop before it gets taken down? And would it only get taken down if everyone made a stink about it? Or could they just infringe upon that copyright pretty much all they wanted as long as they were quiet about it? So I just thought that was kind of interesting. And we will have to just wait and see what the next chapter in this exciting saga will be. Next up, in some shocking news, it seems that the Smash Bros. Development team has left a glaring error in the new Spring Stadium stage. It seems that all of the fighters are displayed in the background alongside their logos, and yet Springman has been given the Springtron logo. I've reached out to Nintendo for statement, and I've heard nothing yet, but I must say, it's unacceptable. Where is the quality assurance? Where is the peace of mind when we purchase a product? I'm done with this joke. I'm already tired of it. Wasn't even that good of a joke to begin with. Finally, I am very, very pleased to report that yes, the thwomps at Super Nintendo World do in fact fall. They did it. They really did it. And it is beautiful. I can't really tell from the video, but I very much hope that they fall with an sound. I will just stare at one of those thwomps all day if given the chance, I'm sure. And actually, before we go, I do have one more thing to say. A lot of people have been asking, tons and tons of people are asking why I haven't been reporting on this whole thing in the Smash Bros. Professional community. So I thought I would just clarify things. I'm not really gonna report on all that stuff. I try to keep my channel a pretty comfortable place for everybody, and that is a very serious subject matter. All I'm gonna say is, yes, I am aware of it, and it's all really, really awful, and I just really hope that the community, and even the fighting community at large, can recover from all of this stuff. It is extremely important that whatever needs to happen to make these communities healthy and safe moving forward happens. So yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna comment on it anymore. I am aware of it. It is just beyond the scope of my channel and what I want to do with it, and even my own intelligence. Honestly, I'm really not equipped to comment on stuff like that. Well, thank you for watching this edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. I sincerely hope that you have a wonderful day, and I am going to turn off the microphone now.